This is the new Insta360 Ace Pro 2, an 8K camera with flip screen, so you can do selfie modes or you can flip it down and do standard video modes. This one is waterproof down to 10 meters without a housing, or you can take it in a housing and take it to 40 to 60 meters. We've just been out diving with this one, and two of the other Insta360 cameras, the X4 and the Go 3, the DJI Osmo 5 and the GoPro Hero 13. So in this video, we'll take a look at the footage coming out of this one, compare it to all of these, and we're gonna look at some of the cool features that this camera can do as an underwater action camera. Now, let's dive in. Now we're back and we have a bunch of footage we're gonna go through in this video. But first I wanna tell you how I will structure this review, because I see these cameras as perfect for people who has a lot of things to do above water, but also a camera you can use underwater. But in this review, we focus on the cameras, not on as an underwater photographer, but as a diver. What we did was we shot all of the cameras in this same easy shoot mode. That's 4K, 30 to 60 frames per second. All of them shot in, the reason why it's 30 to 60 frames per second is some of these were shot in a underwater shooting mode that's preset on the housing. Some of them did not have that, so it was not shot like that. But we tried to do this as you would before a dive. You would put it into the underwater mode and then we take diving. And then after coming out, we didn't do any editing of the video except what we can do in the apps. And some of these apps has a really quick Aquavision Pro. That's what Insta360 is calling it. Osmo has a different one. They would call it a different thing, but it works the same way. You click a button and then you can edit your video in terms of adding this warmer colors to the video. And that's all we did. And we did this to make it as easy to use this camera as possible for you as a diver, not as a photographer who's spending hours and hours on editing the video, because I don't believe a lot of people are doing that unless you are, well, a professional photographer. So we tried to make this test as simple as possible to give you a really good idea if the Insta360 Ace Pro 2 is a camera for you. Right, now let's take a look at some of the footage we actually captured down underwater. Again, all of these were shot in same or almost same resolution, again in this easy to use underwater modes that the different cameras have. Top left corner here, you can see the Ace Pro 2, and you can see how well it is at capturing the footage. This is a really true color of how the dive actually looked. We were diving in cold water, so all the water is a bit greener than what you usually see in the tropics. As you can see on the right-hand corner as well, or right-hand side, that's the DJI Osmo 5. A lot more blue and more warm colors, but that's actually not how the dive looked. So I will give that the DJI Osmo 5 gives a better or warmer color and makes it look better, but it's not really true to how the dive was. There's also a bit, as you can see here, it does overexpose a bit once we film on something that's more white. As you can see on my buddy's tank here, it gets really overexposed, where the Insta Ace Pro 2 really captures that essence of the white color, or captures it much better. So it's better at balancing these colors. And with this Aquavision Pro that you can do, there is a few settings that you can check out here. So here I tried the settings completely off from the camera, and as you can see, it's a lot greener. Again, it was shot with an underwater mode, so not as green as the original footage would look. And as we move up here, this is setting it to 50% on both of these parameters of adding the filter on. And then again, top 100% of both of these filters. You can see it's adding a lot more color, but it's also overexposing it a bit. Then you have the option of clicking the button below the app or the bottom of the app, and it will preset it to the best setting for that video. And that's what we've done with most of the footage in this video, was just click on the button and then you're good to go. And I think that's what most people are. But there is an option of playing with this. Same with the other cameras that do have or the other apps for the cameras that do have an option of playing around with this color. GoPro that you can see here, bottom left corner, is doing a good job at making it, but it's not making it as good as the other. There is also that problem that if you are editing in the GoPro app, you need a subscription to enter into this underwater mode. And we did not do that because I don't think that's a fair thing. You're buying a camera, you should have the editing options that you want. But you can buy the subscription, it's a yearly subscription, then you can edit a bunch more things. There's a lot more automations done in the GoPro editing app straight out of the box, where both the Osmo 5 app or the DJI Memo app and the Insta360 app has all these AI features that you can use for editing, but you don't need to use them straight out of the box. So I do think that both editing in the Insta360 app is much easier and much more intuitive to use. If you look here, you connect to the camera on the phone. You find the camera that you want to connect to. And once you are connected, you can see all the footage that you've shot. This is the album from the dive. As you can see here, there's a lot of green color to it. And as soon as we go into edit this, it's got the right click, there we go. And we have this filter. So you can see here, really green footage. And then as soon as you add a bit of this Aquavision 2.0 filter, it becomes warmer, it becomes better. You can go through this video. And this video per se, we were filming a neon green hand in the beginning, and that's definitely screwing up a lot of the AI vision in a clip like this, because this one is overexposed a lot with that color, and it did ruin some of the dive afterwards, as you can see. But as soon as you're up here, the camera again is actually doing okay in exposing the video and is really trying its best to show you how that's doing. And then you can click this, I call it the China button because there's a bunch of Chinese text that I don't understand. But if you click that one, it will preset up to these two markers, and that's what we've been doing for all of that film. Now you can add in music, you can turn up the volumes, you can reduce the speed or speed it up, depending, especially if you're shooting in 60 frames or more. That's a really cool thing to slow down the video. And you can also dive in much more into how you want these colors to look, adjusting more. This is not something that we're playing around with because I do think it becomes too time consuming. You can also get your stats from your different apps, so connect a Garmin Dive Watch or connect some of the other apps and get stats straight on the screen. And then as you see here, so many other options of editing. It's really intuitive, it's really easy to use this app with the Insta360. So where this camera really stands out is the dual chipset and what that really does. Besides, I'm guessing a bunch of things that I don't understand, but it makes the image stabilization really good. As you can see here, we've done a shake test of the cameras. The winner of this one is of course the X4 from Insta360. That's a 360 camera, so that's not a fair comparison because it's filming all the way around. But of the top three action cameras we have here, I do think the Insta Ace Pro is doing the best job in terms of how these cameras is. It's more stable. Keep in mind, this is not a fair shake test. I'm shaking these cameras extensively. I'm shaking them up and down and to the sides as well to maximize what they're doing. But I do think the Ace Pro 2 is doing a really good job at keeping the footage quite still. And had this just been a standard dive without any shakes, or as you can see throughout the dive, all of the images are really stable, but any movement in it is done really, really well. A really cool feature about this is gestures underwater. So either if you have the screen flipped up or down, you can actually do gestures for the camera and it will do photos or it will start a video recording, depending on the gesture you do. So if you want to do a selfie, you can actually just hold up two fingers and it will take a picture, as you can see my buddy doing here. In case you haven't noticed, here at Diving, we test a lot of dive gear. And even though we love it, we can't dive with it all. So we're giving it away. And we're giving it away to loyal fans of the channel and of diving.com. So for a chance to win, of course, you gotta follow our newsletter because that's where we'll announce the winners. But also subscribe to the channel and make a comment. Based on comments every month, we'll go through all the comments that we've gotten on all the videos and we'll pick out winners to give away some of the gear, not per se the cameras, but a lot of the other things that we've been testing, like dive computers, regulators, fins, BCDs, you name it. If you want to increase your chances of winning, do more comments to more videos. That will help our channel grow and it will definitely help you get your hands on some of the dive gear. Now, let's get back to the review. Now, let's just take a look at what this one can do, because there's a lot of cool features for this one. First up, you have the option of shooting in 8K, 30 frames per second, or you can do 4K up to 120 frames per second. You have this really nice flip screen. It's a touch screen, so when it's down here, you can use it and change your settings. And if you want to do a selfie mode or a vlogger mode, you can flip it up here and you can see it on your own. Now, when you are diving, often you will put it in a housing like this, and of course you can't flip the screen, but then you have the buttons here to push. You have the shutter button up here, and you have a on and off and a mode button here, and it will change in different preset modes. So you can change these preset if you want to shoot in the underwater modes, or if you want to shoot in 8K mode as well as an option. For this test, we only shot in that underwater mode because I think that's the one most people will use. The 8K version is really cool to have, but in reality it just doesn't work, because as soon as you shoot 8K video or 5.7K as some of the other cameras can, the file becomes too big and it's just so much of a hassle to actually be working with it on the phone or on the computer. It doesn't matter, the files become too big, they take up too much space on the memory card, and it just didn't give that much extra. So that's why we kept everything in 4K. For the camera as well, it has a magnetic mount, which means you can mount it a lot of places. You can also mount this extra action camera attachment that both has the standard action camera mount that you know, but it also has a standard screw-in mount here, so you can mount this on a selfie stick or however you want to mount it. And this is easy to remove, or you can even lock it in like that. The camera itself, like this, with the flip screen, is waterproof down to 12 meters, which means you can use this one. We did on the first test dive as well. That was a relatively shallow green water dive. Did dive with it without the housing, or you can put it in the underwater housing that's waterproof down to 60 meters, so well within the limits of what you're going to be using, as most recreational divers don't go that deep. Now, all of the specs in this, and I don't want to bore you with all the details, so I'll put them up on the screen here real quick. We have the dual chip, the AI chip as well, a 2.5-inch touch screen that you can flip as well, and a bunch of things that really makes this camera unique compared to its competitors. Now, if you didn't get a chance to read it here on the screen, then click the link in the description below. It'll take you to the Insta360 page where they have all these specs and features that you can go through and dive into what they do, and if that's something for you. I do think that the specs that you really should care about is, of course, the shooting capabilities, the lens quality in partnership with Leica as well, making it a really sharp lens. And then these dual chips that makes this underwater processing done simultaneously while you're diving without any lack of it. And that really works well on this camera. And of course, these nice flip screens. I do think it's not, again, that much to be used underwater unless you're diving really shallow or snorkeling, but above water, using this for anything, it makes selfie camera capturing so much easier. There's a bunch of other accessories that we can just quick. We have this float mount as well. There is a bunch of selfie sticks that comes to these cameras as well, both the invisible selfie sticks, also the extended selfie sticks of 3 meters. And then just a bunch of other things, mic adapters you can get to it. I have a bunch of them here, but let's not dive into that. You can almost buy yourself broke in buying accessories, but for diver or as a diver, having the mount, the underwater housing, and then a selfie stick will get you far. This is the first of the reviews we've done with this one. In 2 weeks, we're going to Egypt to dive with master liveaboards, and on that one, we'll be picking up all the other action cameras and we'll be bringing them. So we're going to be doing a side-by-side comparison in warm tropical water as well, where you can really see that difference between how it works in cold water and how it will work in warm water diving as well, because that's just as important. Now, if you want to see that video, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss that one once we go out. And we will be packing all of these underwater action cameras and putting them to the pace of a bunch of dives. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. I'd love to answer you. I'd love to get back to you. I'm Tom from Diving, and this is the Insta360 Ace Pro 2.